COP26, the United Nations Climate Change Conference the UK held in Glasgow last November, was a decisive moment for our planet. And I want to thank Chile, the COP25 presidency, for their outstanding cooperation, which helped to make Glasgow a success. Particularly my dear friend and colleague, Carolina Schmidt, the COP25 president, and Gonzalo Moniz for his work to encourage action from business and others. And I applaud Chile for its regional and international climate leadership, as well as its domestic action. From an ambitious NDC to leading green hydrogen strategy and, of course, a net zero commitment that should soon come into law. Indeed, on my visits to Latin America and the Caribbean, I've seen the resourcefulness and the energy with which communities across the region are responding to climate change. In Brazil, I saw how innovation and agriculture was reducing emissions and raising productivity. And in Costa Rica, I witnessed how a coffee plantation business was increasing its resilience to climate change and its respect for biodiversity. But I've also seen firsthand the devastating effects of climate change, particularly on those communities that have done the very least to cause the crisis. In Bolivia, I met indigenous leaders in the Amazon region and heard how longer and harder rains are causing more prolonged flooding. In Antigua and Barbuda, I witnessed the impact of Hurricane Irma 4 years on. Much of the damage remains unrestored. Building after building have roofs blown off and walls crumbling. The future of these countries, and indeed of future generations, will be determined by the choices that we make today, because the science is very clear. If we want to avoid the very worst effects of climate change, we need to hold back the average global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees centigrade. In 2015, the countries of the world committed to pursue efforts to do just that. They signed the Paris Agreement, which commits them to limit the rise in average global temperature to well below 2 degrees, pursuing efforts towards 1.5 degrees. But since the Paris Agreement was signed, the world has not moved fast enough. And the science shows that the 1.5 degree limit is in danger of slipping out of reach. So our ambition for COP26 was to keep that limit alive. And we did, collectively working together. In Glasgow, countries came forward with commitments to clean up polluting sectors like power, and through the international negotiations, we agreed the Glasgow Climate Pact. And this brings countries back to the table this year to revisit and strengthen their 2030 emission reduction commitments where necessary to meet the Paris Agreement temperature goal. It commits countries to phase down coal, and it commits developed countries to scale up finance and double funding for adaptation to protect people and nature from the effects of climate change. All of this is vital. Adapting to extreme weather is key, particularly in Latin America, where adaptation can protect your rich natural environments. Friends, what we achieved in Glasgow was historic. Amidst the fractured global politics, almost 200 countries came together to reach agreement because they recognize the enormity of the threat faced by each and every country. And thanks to the Glasgow Climate Pact, we can say that the 1.5 degree limit lives. But its pulse is weak, and it will only survive with immediate action to honor the promises made in Glasgow. If we do not act now to deliver, the 1.5 degree limit will slip from our grasp, and our achievements at COP26 will have come to nothing. There is a huge amount of work to be done, and my focus over this year as COP26 President will be to urge every country to honor the commitments that they have made, and to encourage countries to work together and to deliver with urgency, to turn the Glasgow commitments into action. Because on climate, friends, we must collaborate. Climate change does not recognize borders. Our only option is to cooperate, as we did in Glasgow. And so transcending our differences, tackle the threat and seize the opportunities presented by the move to clean economies. Because whether it is cheap, clean power, good green jobs, or adaptation supporting sustainable development, action on climate can boost our economies. And we can protect those communities that have historically relied on fossil fuels for their livelihoods through a just transition, replacing dirty jobs and industries with clean ones. So as we rebuild our economies, which have been so damaged by the COVID-19 pandemic, we must take the chance to build back greener, investing in nature, clean industries, and new technologies. But it's not only government that has a role. Climate requires us all to collaborate across the whole of society. Business, finance, and civil society all play a vital role, as indeed do scientists and researchers. And that's why I'm so pleased to be speaking to you today at the Congreso Futuro, which brings together policy thinkers, scientists, businesses, all with a vision about the future. Cooperation between these groups is vital in fighting climate change. For example, together we can develop clean technologies, drive down their cost, and find solutions on adaptation. Partnerships between public and private finance can increase investment in climate action in developing countries and emerging economies. Business plays a vital role in driving down emissions across the real economy, and scientists playing a greater part in public debate can ensure that government action is grounded in the evidence. So I urge everyone to play their part, just as I urge countries across Latin America to deliver on their individual climate change plans, to increase regional collaboration, and to keep calling for action from the big emitters. And I ask them to keep working through international institutions and international partnerships to drive action on climate. Because this must be the year that we turn commitments into action, the year we deliver, working across borders and across society towards a clean, prosperous world. Thank you.